What's going on, ladies and gents, boys and girls, guardians of all ages? Joker back again, once again. Over the past couple of days, I've seen this discussion about the role of lore and story in regards to Destiny as a game. More so in regards to, does a lore master need to be at the Bungie Summit? Let's go ahead and unpack that for a moment, and let me ask you, does MTash need to tell them for the 10 million quadrillionth time that time to kill needs reduced? Does Gothalion need to tell them again and again and again that mods suck currently and need to be changed? Do they need to once again have Slayerage lay out in painful, arduous detail why the current weapon system sucks, and why they need to revert back to the Destiny 1 weapon system? Do they need Datto for the umpteenth million time to explain to them why the current endgame sucks and is underwhelming? Now, by no stretch of the imagination would I ever say that these people shouldn't go and make sure what's being done is being done and being done right. Or at least being done differently than it currently is. Maybe a compromise between what we want and what the Bungie devs want. But outside of that, what else can they do? Now, if you look at the various roadmaps that Bungie has provided, there hasn't even been a single nod to the lore community that things are going to change in regards to not only how story is told through such devices as story modes, strikes, raids, etc., but simple things like the return of the Grimoire in any fashion. Or, I don't know, utilizing the Grimoire replacements like the Scannables that made an appearance in Destiny 2 Vanilla, but didn't return in Curse of Osiris. And that's kind of how it's been for the Destiny lore community since Destiny 2 was announced, and then it was announced that the Grimoire was going away. Since day one, the lore has been getting shafted, and that's why it's important that somebody from the core lore community represents it. And we really couldn't have asked for a better representative than Matt from Malin Games. But I know what you're thinking. But Joker! That's all well and good, but why does lore matter as much as gameplay? Let me ask you something. Anyone and everyone who doesn't think lore matters as much as gameplay, especially in regards to Destiny, why are you playing Destiny? Or, the better question, why aren't you playing something like Halo or Call of Duty or Overwatch? Likely a lot of you do, but there is something about Destiny that keeps drawing you back. Back enough to at least watch a video about a guy talking about why lore matters just as much as gameplay for Destiny. The best way I can describe Destiny's gameplay and lore relationship is that the gameplay is the meat of the experience, but it's nothing more than a raw steak. Now, you can go to any local grocery store and get your choice of raw steak, but Destiny isn't your local grocery store. It's a steakhouse. Okay, yeah, sure, over the last year, management has really sucked, and the quality has gone downhill, but we're talking about Destiny in its prime, right? And even with that analogy, even with Destiny being a steakhouse, there are a ton of different steakhouses. You can go to any different steakhouse and get a steak. Why do you come here? If the gameplay is the meat of the experience, then the lore and the storytelling is how the meat's cooked, how it's seasoned, it's the dinner rolls, it's the drinks, it's the music, it's the mashed potatoes, it's the garnish. And ask any chef worth their apron. The garnish is just as important as the meal. The garnish, the way it's presented, the way it looks, the way it's brought out to you and served. It's all part of the experience. The lore, the story, the trappings, the dressings, the garnish, the way it's presented is why you choose Destiny over Call of Duty or Halo or Overwatch. It's why you keep coming back. Do you play as a Titan, a Hunter, or a Warlock? That's lore. Do you raid? Well, you wouldn't have a raid without the lore. Do you collect exotics? Well, that's lore. All the best and most interesting exotics in the game are seeping and drenched in lore. There isn't an aspect of Destiny that isn't touched by its story and lore. Everything in the world, even the way the Crucible is balanced, has a lore explanation. And a place can serve the best steak in the world. But if the waiters are inattentive, if the mashed potatoes come out cold, if the rolls are hard, if the soda's flat and the tea tastes old, it really doesn't matter how good the steak is. And that's kind of the paradigm between gameplay and lore. lore and story dictate everything about the world of Destiny and the way you interact with it, from weapons to raids to strikes, to what worlds we get to go to what enemies we get to fight, to the PvP maps and the way the PvP maps are designed. Gameplay is merely the act of interacting with all of it. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the core gameplay loop of Destiny 2 is the greatest in the world. I'm not a fucking liar, and clearly it's not. And that's why it desperately needs to be fixed. But even if Destiny 2 had the best gameplay loop we've ever seen come out of Destiny, even if mods rocked and random rolls were amazing and guns were powerful and interesting, and even if each class had 30 different perks and you could build thousands of different and meaningful classes, it would all be relatively pointless without the lore and the story to define the universe. Because without the lore and the story, let's face it, you'd be all dressed up with nowhere to go. The lore and the story is what gives you that. But hey, those are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. And like always, stay frosty.